In 1990, this woman, Felicita Giacoel, was granted an exit permit by the government of Albania to visit relatives in Greece. She held the future of 400 Albanians in her hands.
After the fall of the Berlin Wall, the Albanian government was attempting to liberalize its travel policies. And because I had an invitation from some cousins of mine who lived in Athens, I got a visa, and so for the first time in my life, I traveled to Athens. When I entered the embassy, I felt at home. I saw the flag outside, and really this excited me very much. Then I entered and I saw the letters of the Hebrew alphabet. Those letters for me were the old prayer books of my grandfather. And suddenly I saw that with those letters you could write simple phrases like, "Don't touch the flowers." And it was strange to me.
Unlike the Soviet Jewry, unlike Syrian Jewry, unlike Ethiopian Jewry, where we had contacts, Albanian Jewry was totally locked up. Felicita was essential in delivering the message, in creating the link, and in trying to cement this relationship and this understanding that Israel wants very much Albanian Jews and that Albanian Jews need very much Israel.
Since 1990, 750,000 Olim have come to Israel through the efforts of the Jewish Agency and the financial support of Keren Hayesod campaigns. The problems of housing, employment and cultural shock have been immense, but the majority have been successfully absorbed and integrated into Israel's workforce, a unique accomplishment. This is the story of how these immigrants make their way into Israeli society and strengthen the state of Israel as a homeland for Jewish people wherever they are. Today, Felicita heads the Albanian desk at the South American Olim Association. She maintains contact with most of the Albanian families who came to Israel. Dr. Matitia is a surgeon. He lives in Carmiel in the Galilee with his wife, a dentist, and their 2 children, who are both in the army.
The beginning was very difficult. I wasn't worried about myself. I was worried about my children, how they would feel in the just. But I felt that if I don't find the right work here in Israel, I may have to go back to Albania.
For the Matitia family, Aliyah meant adaptation to new jobs, different social codes, and a new lifestyle.
The problem in Albania was not anti-Semitism. I had a comfortable life with a car and a driver. I came to Israel because I wanted to live as a Jew, not just me, but my family. My dream was to live here so that my son and my daughter would marry Jews, and someday I would have Sabra grandchildren.
The experience of anti-Semitism has brought many people to Israel. Rachel Gedaliova is today a tour guide. On a visit to Yad Vashem in Jerusalem, she recalls growing up in Leningrad.
As a child, I felt different, and I was proud about it. The feeling was so natural that I'm different, that everybody can say something against Jews. I was scared, I was afraid, but I didn't think about myself. I was thinking about my mother and my daughter. My mother is a survivor, and she spent about 2 years in Ravensbrück. So for me, I grew up with all these stories, and it's too hard for me to guide here, because understand, I have to overcome this tragedy again and again.
The recent wave of immigration launched a period of economic growth, bringing Israel to the spearhead of the information age. In 1991, Moshe Voskovoynik and Yisrael Baumberg arrived from Georgia. 3 years later, they established a small company.
It was very difficult to find work, and this was very distressing. I couldn't even afford a bus ticket for my wife. We had to find the shortest route so we'd be able to walk. Most places look for younger workers who may be quicker, but older people also have what to contribute.
יש יתרונות, אני חושב, גם לאנשים יותר מבוגרים.
Fortunately, the two scientists caught the attention of Joseph Bodenheimer, president of the Jerusalem College of Technology, where they were given a laboratory and a small stipend to develop their project.
The first meeting was really interesting. Here come these two very unassuming, but very friendly, not so young anymore people, and they showed me some photographs of some of the very preliminary work that they had done. We took on Moshe Voskoboynik and Israel Baumberg because we saw in them a real potential for Israel's high-tech future. I believe that by absorbing these Russian scientists, Israel can help itself by helping these Jewish people in being absorbed in the state.
I started this project in Georgia. I thought, since it was the simplest, it was also the most attractive to propose.
Russian scientists have brought with them a wealth of ideas for technological development. Helped by incubators and other absorption programs, many of these ideas have progressed to the implementation stage.
I grew up in a real Jewish family, and I knew that at some point I would get assistance. With this help, I would find my place, and perhaps eventually I too would be able to help someone.
For most people, Aliyah is never a bed of roses, but rather a belief in a better future. Tsaga Malaka works at Israel Radio on the Amharic language program. She came to Israel after finishing high school in Ethiopia, proceeded to gain a university education, and is beginning an MA in mass communications. But she also devotes herself to helping her community as a social activist.
My principle, I said, we have to be integrated here in Israel because we are here, Israel. We came to Israel to be a part of Israeli society.
For Tsaga, mediating between two extremely different cultures means facing unpleasant situations almost daily.
Hello? Tsaga?
Under the seemingly normal surface, tensions are rising. This single mother is being threatened at work by a co-worker.
If he sticks a knife into me, where would I be?
Her boss must be made to understand just how alarming the situation is.
I came to Israel alone. That means my parents stay in Ethiopia. I came to alone. And I was 16 and a half years old. That's very difficult to come to Israel. That was my first time I saw the white Jew. My mother, she supported me especially. She said, you live in a good life in Israel. That's nothing. You have to go. You have to learn. You have to work. You have to help to our community.
Jews around the world, they have a responsibility to one another. They could not be what they are today without Israel. And Israel could not be what it is today without their help.
Aliyah is the essence of Israel's existence. Behind the numbers and statistics, there are life stories, each with its needs and aspirations, its ups and downs, its difficulties and accomplishments. Within the space of a decade, more than 1 million Olim will have arrived in Israel, some to escape religious persecution, some to seek a better life for their children. Some will remind us why we're here, some will show us what we can become, and some will be strong enough to strengthen others. By taking them in, we're not only helping them, but moreover helping ourselves. For with each Oleh, the state of Israel is becoming richer by one whole lifetime of experience.